Did you hear?
Hear what?
He coming back.
Who's coming back?
He's coming back.
Oh yeah, he's coming back.
So, he's coming back.
He's coming back.
Thank God he coming back.
My name is Franklin Myers, the number 3 candidate on the United People's Party, and I'm back.
Vote Frankie Myers, your number 3 candidate on the United People's Party.
Dear valued voter, my name is Gracita R. Arundel, your number 2 candidate on the United People's Party slate. August the 29th, 2014 is a very important day. Why? Because safety and security are important to you and to me. But we need your vote. We need your support to make sure that we have more police officers, that we have more resources to assist these police officers who put their lives on the limb every single day. They go out for your future. I'm right here in a park. The neighborhoods, we need to support and secure more community police officers for our neighborhoods. Safety, security, sand, sea and sun, they can go together. As a tourism island, we depend on tourism, but safety and security will make sure that our tourists keep coming back. Together, you and I, we are ready to make it happen on August the 29th, 2014. I'm waiting for you. Thank you.
To basically ask and insist that the continuation of the central committee meeting that takes place. From the government's perspective, we also thought it necessary in writing to ask the chairlady of parliament to hold that meeting. As a government, we have not yet received an answer, and I don't believe we have either as a de faction in parliament. As you know, the budget amendment is up for discussion, and while I guess that there could be from some factions and members of parliament a reluctance to want to deal with the matter of the purchase of the forced property in the parliament, the fact remains that there are other issues in that budget amendment that need to be dealt with in order for the government to finalize it. And for example, the Emilio Wilson estate is also in that budget amendment in Parliament. But actually, the meeting needs to have taken place already, in fact. And so from the perspective of the faction, we have written to the chairlady of Parliament, and also as a government we have done the same, because the matter needs to be dealt with. And according to the rules of order of Parliament, the meeting should have been reconvened already. That's the issue of the forced property and the budget amendment that is at Parliament. We are awaiting the outcome or the decision of the courts as far as that is concerned. As you know, we have been taken to courts, and I believe it's on Thursday that we are expecting a decision from the courts as far as government's position is on the matter of the purchase of the forest estate. But of course that cannot be seen separately from Parliament's handling, approval or not, of the budget amendment. So we're awaiting that, and as I said, in the meantime, Parliament should do what it has to do in this case, and that is reconvene the meeting. The minister, I think, today will also give an update on the hospital. Yes, okay, so.
Thank you, Madam Prime Minister. There are two topics that I'd like to discuss today. The first topic is a letter that I received from the St. Martin Medical Center informing me that their financial statements for 2012 and 2013 are not readily available, and coincidentally they'll be available, let's just say, after the elections. I have sent them an email requesting a meeting for tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, and I am awaiting the reply, because when they talk about discrepancies, and I understand that every now and then a system can crash, and apparently it has crashed for over 6 months and huge backlog. I still believe that these financial statements are very important to us, especially if we're looking at financing the expansion as well as assisting them with the $5 million guild injection as well, that we understand where this money is going to go. If their financials are not in order, then it will have an impact. Beside that, I don't want to say it shows any incompetence, because I believe there warrants an explanation first before we go there. But there are many issues going on at the Sxmnewsroom Medical Center that I am aware of. It's my understanding that already in 2014 they've lost over 20 employees, either by resigning or by firing. I know of one case of a staff member who, after 30 years of service, was laid off because of a statement or a statement on a Facebook page. And I believe that it's kind of ironic, because many of the management team are leaking stuff to politicians all the time, and yet they don't get sent home. So I think these are things that we need to look at and address holistically. I also got word from Aruba where they were faced with a situation in the operating room where they needed techs, and requested St. Martin to provide a couple to assist them, and management in St. Martin told them no. And I find this to be disappointing in a sense, because we send patients to Aruba all the time, my Dr. Hangme or whoever, for surgery, and if they are in need of an OR tech for 1 or 2 days, I don't see why St. Martin could not have extended themselves a bit. I understand that we could have made arrangements and they were not done. Again, understaffing at SMMC is becoming an issue. It has been brought to the inspector's attention, who will definitely be following up, because we do not want to jeopardize care at SMMC. So I think these are important issues that will be addressed tomorrow in that meeting. And then the second topic that I'd like to touch on is the short-term contract, because it appears that a problem that existed for so long, and something that I was committed to addressing in each of my year plans. And June 6th, the Independents and the Alliance had submitted their proposal about addressing the short-term contract. On June 28th, I went into Parliament and I asked them if they could give me some time, because I wanted to address the issue holistically. I wanted a comprehensive approach, and I appreciated their initiative, and I recognize the problem because it's been existing for so long, but I believe that we should address the entire issue. We were consultation meetings with Mr. Kroeneveld as well as the Labor Department. It was very constructive, and with Professor DeBoer we were able to address this issue. Now, I know that the Alliance would like to use this as a political issue, but the reality of the matter is that when the Socio-Economic Council read their initiative law, I want to quote from it so that I don't ever want to be misquoted. It says, the unanimous advice of the said on the different components of the proposed ordinance is as follows. Regarding Article 1, all 3 sections are regarded as inopportune for reasons of undue increase in bureaucracy, counterproductive effects, and ineffectiveness regarding the problem at hand. Regarding Article 2, Section 1 and 2, the LBHAMs announced are not attached to the draft ordinance. Without these, however, the ordinance becomes hard to apply in any practical sense. Moreover, Article 2 is only relevant in relation to Article 1. Regarding Article 3, the said regards this kind of penalty applied to an economic transgression alone inadvisable. It creates a legal and economic imbalance between the handling of this particular issue and other related rules. Article 4 is relevant only in relation to the previous articles. Summarizing, the said unanimously advises not to submit the proposed ordinance in its current form. So it's clear that whatever they submitted was not acceptable. We, on the other hand, the DP party in particular, went to the extent with Professor De Boer, crossing ministries with Minister Dennis Richardson to ensure that we got this done the right way, and we do have a set report that approves ours, and it was approved in the Council of Ministers as well. It is at the governor to the Council advice. Once it returns to the governor, it will be returned to the Council of Ministers and then to Parliament. So instead of saying that we're going to address the issue of short-term contracts, the issue has been addressed. What they should be saying is that they look forward to finalizing it in Parliament and then actually doing their work. And I believe that come August 29th, the Democratic Party will be in Parliament to defend the work that we have done, because not only have we addressed the short-term contract, we addressed maternity leave, we addressed equal treatment, and we addressed the employment agencies, because we wanted to make sure that there was not a shift from one to the other. And I believe that we have done this the right way, and we have done this with all parties involved, our tripartite setting as well. So I believe we have done it the right way. Did it take a little bit longer? Absolutely, but we did it the right way. It makes no sense to just try and pass one thing and leave the others open. We did it the right way.
Thank you, Minister De Wever. And just to add briefly to that, indeed, and these changes that the Minister referred to are actually changes to the labor part in our civil code. So it is not something that you can take up and address one or more articles without looking at the overall, especially the book of our civil code that deals with matter of labor and labor agreements, etc., etc. So, and because of that as well, it took longer than we would have liked it to, but it was dealt with comprehensively. I think it was in the last press briefing of the party that MP Roy Marlin indicated that he wanted to make it very clear that the Democratic Party is not married to any other party. And but basically what the MP was referring to, there is not only a lot of talk, because in campaigns you will have a lot of talk, but there is also a mass email circulating with a banner of the Democratic Party and a banner of the UP Party, and then then there is a ballot, and then it shows you a voting for the leader of the UP Party, Mr. Theo Heiliger, suggesting that basically these are two parties that have come together. And that was the point that MP Roy Marlin was referring to. That is absolutely not so. And they say that all is fair in war and politics, but these kind of things people are very sensitive to, and that's why we condemn it. We condemn it. We have absolutely no agreement. We are looking from a mandate from the people of St. Martin on August 29. The stronger that mandate is, the better we can represent the people in the way that we have been doing as a small faction, and 2 members in government in a council of ministers of 7. So again, the stronger the mandate, the better we are able to represent our people. That's what we're looking for. We have also made a statement with respect to government-owned companies, and basically the one towards GEBE was more of a warning. We hope that we do not have to determine down the line that especially where the relief for the seniors is concerned, that is just a matter of a campaign, and especially a political issue. We hope that after it was first indicated that there was something wrong with the system of GB, we regret that they only found out that there was something wrong with the system after they promised the people that they would have received the relief in July, which they did not. Now it is being said in the month of August, and we are very skeptical about this, but we are giving GB the benefit of the doubt. And we hope that 1, it is not pushed further again, and 2, if it is done, that it is not a very short-term thing, and that after the voting is over, the people could be looking for some type of relief again, because it would have stopped. And we don't say this to just be opposing or warning or whatever you want to call it, but there is a serious level intimidation going on. I mean, that's a fact. And of course, you can have things being said in just like what you're doing in those colors kind of thing. But when persons are being told that they need to look out with their job, depending on who they support, and if this are seen at meetings and these kind of things, then we caution the politicians who engage in those type of tactics that then don't be surprised when you see your followers acting out in certain manners. For example, you might know or you might not know that when we had the defacing of the billboards of Mr. Mock, that same evening, flags of the Democratic Party and more than 50 flags were downed, just taken down and pushed, downed. And, so again, depending on the example that you set as a politician, then you should not be surprised when your followers engage in different kind of activities. So we are not saying this to be controversial, but we know because persons have come to us with all kind of intimidating tactics that are being applied to persons of other political parties, and it is primarily coming from the up party. And if I hear it coming from other parties, then I would say it too. But until now, that's where it's coming from. So with respect to the government-owned companies, of course, we too took note of the Harbour group of companies, thinking it necessary to, in having a meeting about the developments of the harbour, to publicly have one MP, a leader of one political party, part of these discussions. Why not the other leaders? Why not the minister himself? So these are kind of things that I think government-owned companies should stay out of politics and should not allow the company or themselves to be used for political reasons. And so that is why we also were very critical of the way that some government-owned companies operate. And at some point in time, the carnival is going to be over. And we just wanted to state that and to tell persons who are being intimidated, to just stay calm. And like I stated, but now I can state it in a much more tranquil way. Regardless to what, we will not stand for, whatever the circumstances turn out to be after the election, we will not stand for persons being victimized or intimidated because of a political stand that they take or that they have taken. Minister, Michael, anything to add, say?
Just wanted to ask, one of the talks also is that the Democratic Party has signed an agreement with the National Alliance. Any truth to that?
In fact, you might not be aware of things that circulate especially the social media. But fact is that, no, let me first answer you, absolutely not. We have no agreement signed with any political party. But the fact that I want to refer to, if there's any signing that have taken place or any agreement is between other parties, have you seen the report card that the National Alliance prepared for them and the UP, for example? I mean, they send it out. And so if there's any collusion taking place, that could be a possible combination there, because the NA has sent out a report card. Of course, they put itself higher, but they have sent out a report card that include themselves and the UP party, for example. But no, this Democratic Party, the red one from Claude Watty and Clem LaBega, no, we haven't signed any agreement with any pre-election campaign.
And I hope that the population looks at that report card and really question it, because when we talk about the increase in the pension, I did it, the Democratic Party did it. When we talk about the increase in the financial aid, I did it, the Democratic Party did it. When you look at decrease in unemployment, we did it through training, building skills, and placing people into suitable jobs. We did it. There are many things there that we have done, and we will continue to do, given the mandate come August 29th. And I humbly ask the population to reconsider and question what they're reading, question what they're hearing, and then look at really who did what.
Minister Weaver, may I ask you, because you talk about the short-term contract, this has been going on for 3 years, and I understand you said it took quite some time, but come August 29, this government, you do not know who is going to be there. How can you guarantee that all the work that has been done and the document approved by the Council of Ministers will get the blessings of Parliament, or Parliament would even look at it?
Well, according to the legal trajectory, it has to happen. Unless it comes back to Parliament and they say they don't want to deal with it, or they don't call a meeting. Just like we say, a meeting is not being called now to handle the budget amendments. You know, again, I believe that the people would demand that this law, which not only addresses short-term, but other issues, the transfer of enterprise, so that another Pelican doesn't happen, is also addressed in there. So there is no way that any party out there that is campaigning would say, I'm not going to touch it.
Madam Prime Minister, you said you denounced the poster or whatever has been made by the UP and the DP, saying that, of course, you have no agreement, but last election, just after the election, there was an agreement between the UP and the DP. This election, if you do have to form a coalition, are you ruling out the UP?
I'm not ruling out anything, and that's exactly it, but neither do I have any pre-arrangements. The important word that you mentioned there is after the election.
Yes.
Whether it was 1 hour or 2 days, fact is it was after the election when the outcome of the election was known. And again, I believe that the first place where you put this matter is in the hands of the people, and let them be the judge. And again, the Democratic Party is looking forward to a strong mandate from the people of St. Martin. What is conveniently forgotten by both the UP and the NA is that they signed a governing program. So forget about your political manifesto. That's yours. You put in there what you as a political party envision, thinks, desires. But then when you come together, you put a governing program together. And that is the government that is there at the time. So we had the Foundation of Hope, as you would remember, of the UP and the DP and the independent members. And following that, for the second cabinet, we had Working for the People, a document, an agreed to document of the things that would be done. So now to mark off issues as either of this party or of that party, and as I always like to say, which is also something often heard, if you're going to blame us for things that might be considered as not having gone right, then also give us the credit for everything that has gone right, because there is no denying, if we look back from where we've come, that St. Martin has not made progress. But I think, depending on how you look at progress, we believe progress is when people are moving forward. People are moving forward. Others feel that if you put up structures, that is a sign of progress, but we believe that progress is best manifested in people, and that's why we put such emphasis on things like our neighborhood development program, our NDP, getting people involved in where we would like to see the country go, building a foundation for this country, so that we did not end up in October 2010 in some type of a banana republic type situation. It was because of the foundation laid and put in place in order to have a country get started on a decent footing.
The coalition now, Madam Prime Minister, how would you term the working relationship is? I mean, you did say that there are certain things that are not being addressed right away. You are still in as Prime Minister, so the coalition is still intact. But how is the working relationship between the ministers so far?
It cannot be denied that once you have a campaign ongoing, political parties are opposing one another. Those who are not in government want to make those who are in government look bad and say, well, they are not doing it right, we can do it better. Those who are in government are going to be defending their record. You have a coalition and you have these parties running, actually opposing one another. Nobody is in it together at this time. So during these couple of weeks, the functioning of the coalition is under some pressure, no two ways about it, because you have politicians that are actually opposing each other in the election. That is part of the campaign time. It's not going to be too long. We're going to know the election results at the end of the day on the 29th. Then you're going to have a caretaker's government. until the new parliament and thus the new government will sit on the 10th of October.
But does it hamper the day-to-day activities of running government?
It makes it a little more difficult indeed, and you got to make sure that you get persons coming to the Council of Ministers because there's still a government to run.
Do you think...
a question about the hospital. Has it been brought to your attention that the hospital intends to hire a surgeon from Curaçao, Dr. Berry, and that in Curaçao there are unresolved complaints for medical malpractice against this particular surgeon?
I am not aware of them, but I would definitely ask the inspector to look into them because before anyone comes to Sxmnewsroom to practice, they do have to register through, which is the WebBIC, which I just signed off last week, and has to come to the council as well. They have to be registered here. If there are pending cases against them, then the inspectorate would have to be involved with the inspector from Curaçao or the inspector from Holland, and then we would know exactly what the issues are and whether this individual can or cannot practice on Sxmnewsroom.
The problem seems to be that the inspectorate in Curaçao is not exactly functioning as it should be. That's the reason why these complaints have been lying there for a year and a half. And the colleagues in Curaçao alerted me to this and said, well, he's coming to Curaçao. Maybe, I mean, a complaint is a complaint. It's not like, but the complaints are there. Whether that actually constitutes malpractice, of course, that's not for me to say.
Well, the Inspector General does have close ties with Curaçao, so if there are any complaints, either processed or not, he would probably be aware of them, and then we can make a decision.
Permits, one question for you. You made mention that political parties are opposing each other at this time. Do you think this might be contributing to the budget not have been dealt with at this time?
I'm sure there's some political undertones to that, surely. But again, sorry?
We have a responsibility.
The government has a responsibility, and so does Parliament. Parliament consists of 15 members of Parliament, different factions, and you need to bring that maturity in realizing that there's more at stake here than an electoral campaign. And I hope that kind of maturity will be displayed.
Minister Hassink,
and you have the CFT, of course, that is looking with a watchful eye to what is happening or not happening. There are certain criteria and deadlines and regulations that we must meet as a government, and you can't put those aside because you are in a political season.
Prime Minister, you're saying that government, the current coalition is under some pressure for some weeks. Is it weeks or months? Because if things were going as hunky-dory as we might want to believe, would we have had the situation of the purchase of the Boris estate if everybody was open and transparent with each other?
Bibi, in coalitions, in families, in homes, in schools, wherever, you will have differences of opinion. And surely, when you have politicians and ministers, members of Parliament getting together in whatever setting at Parliament, so of course you have differences of opinions. Of course we have lengthy discussions. Of course we don't always share the same opinion on a topic. That's one thing. But I can't stress enough how important it is to have serious and knowledgeable persons that hold a position of minister in the cabinet. Because indeed, and I know every time I say this, Hilbert eyebrows raise, because it's like, there could be, there have been, and there probably will be matters that individual ministers feel that they could deal with outside of the Council of Ministers. But sometimes it would take more time than others, but these things come to light. So that's why you need seriousness and knowledge, especially in maturity, especially where ministers are concerned, because you come in here as a minister and you get a responsibility that unless you can show that kind of maturity, for some it's like a kid in a candy store. And you go out there, and you go out there and you bind the government, and then retroactively we are faced with these cases, and we have been faced with some of these big cases in the past. And had these matters been brought to the Council of Ministers, which a minister can do, even if the responsibility is his or hers, bring it to the Council of Ministers, get input from others, get the backing of the Council of Ministers, so that if something goes wrong, you can always say, well, we're all in this together, we agreed to it, and maybe we made a mistake, maybe we made an error in judgment in terms of accepting it or not. But when you feel that, you know, you're going to go there and do your own little thing and then try to put a council under pressure when now you need a mandate, and that's what happened, let us be honest, that's what happened in the case of Force. And
so
now
when they wanted the LB, then you were made aware?
Sorry?
Only when they wanted the LB?
When it came to the council for that, yes, indeed.
That's when you were made
And
aware.
then when you asked me, we say, no, this thing needs to be further investigated. We want this, we want that. We would like to see the appraisal reports. And I mean, that dragged down. It was like pulling teeth, you know. And no, you can't have it. We don't have it. And it just created more suspicion as the time went along. And then you have the courts breathing down your back because the people are saying, you know, we have an agreement signed on behalf of the government of St. Martin. And you know, so.
That would lead me to ask Prime Minister, how is the level of cooperation between members of the Council of Ministers?
You know, you can't generalize that. There is a formal basis for the Council of Ministers how we operate. You bring in advisors in there that need to have passed through the legal scrutiny, etc., etc. And we have some good discussions on general matters that affect the population. But you have different individual ministers who operate differently. You know, and then we sometimes get in situations like we have gotten into as far as the purchase of the forest land is concerned. And